Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, May 26, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having a reverse aging health call tonight around 9 p.m. Eastern. The choiceless truth of who you are is revealed to be permanently here, permeating everything, not a thing, and not separate from anything in Gaia. As we know, everything is energy. Energy takes on different forms. There is a divine orchestra of spiritual energy and consciousness happening all around us all of the time. Now, it doesn't mean we're always aware of it, because our minds are so distracted and busy with those all too important things of this physical world. It's only when everything stops from some seemingly random event that we are thrown back to our real selves and can see, feel, and taste the bigger picture. In a few brief moments, the mind drops its game and we understand how divinely perfect everything is. The divine perfection of this universe, the universal orchestra, is always on a perfect beat. It's continuously humming along, exploding into even more perfection, especially when we are in a bad mood and cannot see it, how or where it is happening. We are always within the womb of this universal beat, always connected with everyone, everywhere, in every dimension of time and space, all the time. When we open ourselves up to this possibility, then each moment we are able to see the real truth. We know how every moment can only be a spiritual merging experience of universal synchronicity in our soul's destiny. And we either choose or we don't choose. We either walk on by or we sit a spell to open our mind and heart to feel the connection with someone we know or would want to know, who is very dead or very alive. Reach out to that wild, free being who is somewhere in this universe. Just do it as an exploration to possibly awaken that same wild, free being within you. Pick anyone who your heart would have to stretch beyond its normal limitations to open up and connect with them. Invite that special person into your heart space and imagine that this individual is here now, fully available to be with only you in this moment. You can drop the doubting, skeptical mind by just focusing on the vibration and feeling of trust. Let your heart relax into the experience and reach into the emotional connection you most wish to have. I believe if you just practice this for even a few minutes, you'll be surprised to find out that something magical starts to happen. You may not realize the depth of the magic which arises initially, yet stick with it. For wherever attention goes, energy flows. Wherever attention goes, energy flows. Whatever experience you have is what was destined to happen because you created it. Anything can happen. from just this simple intention and practice to break through the limitations of our doubtful, time-bound mind, the inner journey you'll have is completely worth it in the end. Now enjoy it. How long does it take to reach liberation? This question has been posed thousands of times. It is not to be gained in the future. It is there forever, here and now. Realization is for everyone. Realization makes no difference between the aspirants. This very doubt you have, whether you are realized or not, with the notion, I have not realized, are themselves the obstacles to realization. Be free from these obstacles and see who you truly are, Ramana Maharishi. We're in a pattern, if you will. Most of us don't realize that in all of the dimensional existences, we exist. In all the parallel universes, we exist. In all of the quantum particles, we exist. In all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever, we exist. When you begin to move out of your compartment of existence, and you begin to realize that, okay, you start off, you say, okay, I'm in this body. I really don't, I'm not yet acclimated to what this body is for, nor am I acclimated to what I am within this body. This is most of us on the planet. And to grasp the understanding that everything outside of us is created by us. It's easy to say that, but how many people comprehend it? Because if the majority did, right in this very now, things would be much different in a very positive way. It shows us where we're at. It's not like we're measuring. It's just it gives us an understanding of where we're at in the moment. And all of us have the ability to transcend the body, to understand that we have, okay, so we're in these bodies and we know we're not going to stay in them. Isn't that amazing? We know we're not going to stay in them. And most of us, when the time comes for us to leave them, what happens? We're scared because we're not sure what lies beyond the body. So we get frightened. And it doesn't take long because after you've left the body, you figure it out to a certain extent. You find out that, well, wait a minute. That sure was a short stay. Could be 100 years, as you still say, sure was a short stay. We've blended, see, we've gotten in such habit, and we've been so programmed, we've blended the body. And what I mean by blending is that we think the body is spiritual and material, physical. And we become attached to the body. That's why we get fearful if something goes wrong with the body. We get attached to it. We don't like to let go of it. And in reality, all we have is the now. Every one of us, the only thing that we know is true is the now. We know that tomorrow, we have no clue if we'll make it to tomorrow. And yesterday is gone, not to come back. So we figure it out that the only thing that any of us have, no matter what age you are, is the now. That's what we really have. It's all we've ever had. But see, what happens is that we forget that. And we start to go into tomorrow. And most of the people in this country, not saying the whole planet, but let's just say in this country, is in yesterday or tomorrow. And I can guarantee you that they're suffering in this very moment. It says anybody who stays in yesterday or tomorrow suffers. Now, those of us who sometimes, we haven't gotten it full time, but who sometimes and literally are aware that work on being in the now all the time, practice being in the now all the time. And we know the difference between pain and suffering and peace. Peace is within in the now. Pain and suffering is yesterday or tomorrow. You ever been talking with someone, carrying that conversation, and they lose you, they go off somewhere, and you say, "Hey, Harry, did you hear me?" "Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just wandering off. I got so many things on my mind." You ever heard that? And you do have a lot of things on your mind because you got about 60,000 plus thoughts every day. And those are not your thoughts. They're other people's thoughts. And they're brought in by the ego mind, which is recorded by the subconscious mind, which randomly plays them back incessantly, 24/7. So it's kind of like, it's talking about it and being aware of it is good. Ignoring it is not good. We have, all of us have the ability to do this. None of us are lacking. Zero. None of us are lacking. And we all have this supreme power to orchestrate any kind of life we choose. But what gets in the way? Ego, which is, mind is an illusion, right? And the mind creates the ego to assist it. Ego mind. And it's an illusion. But it has mastered the majority of us on this planet. So we get to the point where we say, what's it all about? You know, I've talked to so many people lately that say, you know, it just seems useless that they're here. And that's ego mind. And I say that's ego mind. Focus on the now with the breath. It seems simple enough for us to hear that. And, you know, we correlate it and say, oh, that shouldn't be that difficult. Until we start to do it. Right? And then we find out that it isn't complicated, but it is challenging for any of us. Because when we determine on our own, make our own choice, we either do or don't. And then we start practicing. We focus on the breath, and we move into the now. And we find ourselves wandering. The ego mind will wander off into tomorrow or yesterday. Go back into the breath, go back into the now. I mean, I've caught myself 100 or more times during the day where I'm in the now and then the ego mind comes in and pulls you out. And you kind of, you go through phases where you, fight it, or you just roll with it. And when you roll with it, it seems to dissipate and fade out. When you challenge it, right, it seems to linger. Our whole purpose is to, at least this civilization, on this planet at this time, our whole purpose is to discover who and what we are in this body. That's it. Because what happens is that when you choose to do that, everything else opens up. So a lot of the questions that you've had during this lifetime are answered, all of them, by going within, and then not outside. And you find a peacefulness, which has always been there, which is the God you are within the soul. But you didn't know it. None of us did. And so you're guided. And your greatest guide is the God that you are within that body. Have you ever caught yourself saying, when is this all going to end? When, you say to yourself, when you're going to be able to move on? When is all this crap going to end? But see, there's the issue, see. Because we're walking a fine line. And the pendulum, we can swing into negative, which isn't a bad thing, but we swing into negative, and it's subtle, and we aren't aware of it, and so we slip in there, and we slip into the negativity. And then we go, oh gosh, I'm into that negative realm again. When we lose our egos, and the reason we're talking about ego today is it's so prevalent, and it is the root cause of all the conflict on this planet, of all the hatred, of all the negativity and distrust and worry, stress, and fear. When ego is lost, limit is lost. You become infinite, kind, beautiful. Yoga Bhajan. Yeah, and we all have bumpy days once in a while. Yet when those bumpy days turn into bumpy weeks, months, years, and how many people do you know are like that? When they're straight up honest. And we truly need to make a change. And all of us are really, truly here to enjoy this life. How many of us do we believe in this very now moment spend a lot of time, if you just kind of flash your life, right, so far, how many of us spend time in lower frequency? How many of us do you think we spend time in lower frequency? Now, it isn't that we are aware of it. It is more of a proverbial habit that we've just gotten used to. And have you ever noticed that when you're engaged with anything and certain things and your negativity comes in, it's subtle at first, and then you say, and then it starts working, which is the ego mind. It starts doubting things and getting stressed about things, and then the rest is like history. And I've shared with so many people that the first, how do I get out of this negativity? I'm tired of it. And I say the first thing is shifting out of a negative mood is to recognize the number one thing. Realize and honor the fact that you are the one creating and perpetuating this mood. It's like we've been trained and programmed to believe that, oh, no, I'm not, this is because of so-and-so and this happened. Yeah, it's their fault. Right? First, it's identifying the fact that, wait a minute here. You recognize and realize and honor the fact that you are the one creating and perpetuating this negative mood. Now, you, like I said, you may believe something outside of you is responsible for your unhappiness. Yet ultimately, it all comes down to how you are responding. You look at it we look at it in different ways. Are you seeing it as your teacher or your enemy? Happiness is always about the lens we are looking through. Truly enjoying this life is about taking radical responsibility for the state you're in, exploring what this negative experience is teaching spiritually you, and then finding out the fastest way to let it go. Once you can say, I'm the one creating this negative experience of my life, then half of the great battle is over. But the ego mind is really stubborn. It really is. And it doesn't bend easy. So people will sit and deny the fact that it's not them, it's over there. Right? It's over there. That's the reason that I'm in the mood I am in. It isn't. So really, truly enjoying this life is about taking radical responsibility for the state you're in, exploring what this negative experience is teaching spiritually you, and then finding out the fastest way to let it go. And then learning how to step back from whatever you're resisting, fighting, judging, or hating, and see that actually it is just a bunch of thoughts. Your problems ultimately boil down to ideas that are ultimately passing through the synapses of your brain. Whatever wrong thing you think is happening out there is always happening primarily inside your mind in here. The more resistance, judgment, and anger you have built up around this particular idea out there, the greater the joy you'll feel when you shift your relationship with it inside yourself and move on. The moment you learn how to let go of being right about how horrible something or someone is, you discover how good it feels to be wrong. I find that life always provides the perfect climax at the end. Releasing our negative mood is returning to the source of who and what you spiritually are. Truly, who and what you are. Who and what are you? Are you your name? What others think of you? Or just this physical body filled with meat, blood, and emotional bones? Perhaps there's a deeper spiritual aliveness that is real inside you. Now, if and when you believe that you are your thoughts, then ask yourself, who and what is watching and listening to them go by? See, the watcher is the real you. You are not any of these thoughts. You just became too close to your thoughts and got overly identified with them. The very moment we return to who and what we are, this pure conscious witness who abides at the very source of thought, right, that we are home free. We don't relax fully into our bodies. In other words, naturally, so there is no tension hiding inside of us anywhere. When we can fully relax inside, we become deeply aware beings again. When we can fully relax inside, we become deeply aware beings again. It's easy to see how insignificant and fleeting thoughts actually are. Like a dragonfly cruising past you. You ever done that? You ever been out and there's a dragonfly sitting right in front of you. The wings are buzzing away. And it's darting around. You see it moving and darting around. You're watching it. And then just gone. When our bodies are relaxed, we can see how fleeting each thought is and how easy it is to completely change them. Just like the dragonfly. You look at it as a thought. There 1 minute, gone the next. So the more we can feel into the spiritual truth of who and what we are, we naturally pull back our attention to our real selves. It feels good, so we naturally do it. Our spiritual nature takes care of us, and we can effortlessly enjoy this life, which means we have stopped dwelling on the negative and being. I'm sure most of us would understand it to agree. Most of the people on planet Earth gravitate toward the negative. It's a habit, but we gravitate towards the negative. Our bad mood, whatever you want to call it, turns around and we see the beauty in everything. We are grateful for life again, even for the opportunity to shift out of this negative space. We appreciate, love, and enjoy this simple experience of being alive. We understand that if we cannot see God in all, we cannot see God at all. Turn within, and you will become free and liberated because it's all a dream. Robert Adams. It's all a dream. We create these lives. We create everything around us. And yet, we believe that we don't that something else outside of us does. And it's a concentration on our ego mind, because I believe most of us that are somewhat awake know that it's the ego mind, and I'm not saying it's an enemy. We can use it be a very useful tool for us through the heart mind. But it's to understand it. And understand it is, well, okay, so it's an illusion, and it masters me, and it literally runs my life for me. When you get, and today, this very moment, with everything flailing around that is basically created as an illusion that people, if they embrace it, to them, it's real. It's like you're standing in the middle of a forest, right? And you say to this other being, do you know that tree right there in front of you is an illusion? Now, they're going to look at you and think that you've left the planet, you're in some other space, in most cases. So they go up and they touch it and feel it, pull a leaf off one of the branches, and they say, no, this is real. You're crazy. Look, I just pulled the leaf off of it. Smell the leaf. How can that be an illusion? You had something to do with creating it, and as long as you believe it's real, it'll be real. Our energy, our civilization, we inhabit dwellings, we walk around places, but we have this omnipotently powerful, pure energy, pure thought, pure consciousness, God. So you got to, everywhere we go, we're flooding energy everywhere. So we're we're embracing thoughts, right? That come in incessantly, all kinds of thoughts, crazy thoughts, just stupid, crazy thoughts. Most people think that it's their thoughts, and it isn't. It's somebody else's thoughts, but they keep flooding in, right? And they're very seductive because they got your name on it, and they believe, and it's so connected. It seems so, and it's connected to something that you were thinking about, and then boom, there it is. Well, and then you say to yourself, what the heck was that, or is that? That's not my thought. What I'll say that's not my thought, and it vanishes. And every time one comes in that's just like crazy, you immediately know that's not your thought. And then you say, well, I'll send the thought out to the universe. It's a big difference when you're outside of the mind. All that means is that you leave the mind alone. You leave it alone. How often do you get frustrated? Right? How many times have you been able to count that you get frustrated and you get irritated and stressed, and you might say to somebody that gives you a call and says, hey, you want to get together and chat a little bit? It's not a good time right now. Okay. Or I'm not in the mood. How many times have we used that statement? You're not in the mood. And it covers a lot of things, doesn't it? You're not in the mood. because you're so absorbed in the ego mind. Now, a lot of people right now, many of our brothers and sisters are in turmoil because of what they've created around them, but not connecting that, believing it's coming from somewhere else other than them. This is all about discovery for every one of us. It's discovery about you and the God that you are in that body. And it's to discover that fully, with no doubt, total faith, confidence, and trust. Then, so we say, well, then what happens? Your perspective, how you view things, completely different. You say to yourself, well, how do I maintain happiness? You don't maintain happiness, you are happiness. But when you're caught in the ego mind, it doesn't feel that way. Doesn't feel that way, does it? And ask yourself this question. How confident, how trusting, and how faithful are you with you? How trusting, how faithful, and how confident you are with you. And to be just totally honest with yourself, and gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times, because people have a tendency or a propensity to really come down hard on themselves. They really do. They come down hard on themselves, and that's not good, because then that pulls them down into lower frequencies. And yeah, sometimes we just get into lower frequency. But the key is we don't stay there. We might dip into them, and then we're out of it. I'm slipping into this negative frequency again, and I know that I'm the one doing it. So I'm going to shift gears now and move myself out of it. I'm going to focus on my breath. And then I'm going to concentrate immediately on what I'm grateful for. And I know this is redundant, but it is imperative that we program ourselves into understanding these elements to engage with ourselves first, and then everything and everyone around us. And what is one of our biggest challenges? Like, your life is meant to be a magical, manifesting adventure. Is it? In the very moment? Only you know. In order to experience your greatest magic, power, and freedom, you must choose to first be totally free from the grasp of fear, because fear is a thought. Is all it is, like all the rest of them. But when your heart is truly fearless, your soul trusts that it's safe to perpetually open up to life, and nothing feels impossible for you. You can ask anything of this universe, and it is not too much. The fearless being is the most desired empowered, and beautiful being in the entire universe. Whatever their heart desires instantly begins to manifest into this world. Now, a lot of people, oh, yeah, right. That sounds crazy, ridiculous, it's outrageous. Yet when you learn how to transform fear, every moment becomes an invitation to meet the divine. Awaiting within each person is an enlightening heart, a lightning heart-opening godly experience. The discovery, or the secret to discovering this fearless freedom, begins with one simple step. Approach all fear with fascination. Approach all fear with fascination. Curious, It's you're curious. You say to yourself, why are you fearing? When we meet fear with curiosity, life takes us into higher states of expansion instead of deeper, limiting sensations of contraction. Fascination makes you become more open, relaxed, and receptive to the magic that is all around you. So then you naturally want to dive into this life and experience each person you meet with endless wonder, curiosity. And this creates more intimacy. It requires tremendous courage, because I'm not saying it doesn't, to change your relationship with fear. Yet, if you don't, fear will continue to castrate the rest of your life. Pick one day where you're going to create more freedom in your life by meeting your fear with fascination. Whatever may happen to you in these short 24 hours, don't let any fear shrink you. Allow it to move through you in such a way that it creates a transformation inside you. Breathe into your fear. Welcome it. When you say yes to it, it will shift before your very eyes. If and when you can maintain this commitment to yourself for this one day, you might just believe by evening time that you are one of the most fortunate, sacred, and amazing beings who are alive on this planet. Now, we all know the possibility of living in doubt, skepticism, and resistance to this life will always be there, hovering around with the ego mind. In each moment, fear can sneak in and take on one of these disguises. Doesn't mean you have to pay attention to it. You can choose to ignore any fearful energy or feeling that you sense growing inside you and breathe beyond it. Simply take a look underneath the contracted fear-based energy, and you'll see that it's an angel in disguise. Simply there to help you create deeper roots of love. Now, believe it or not, fear has this very special and sacred job in our lives. It is going to make sure that we don't die without feeling ridiculously alive. If you are not pouncing on your life mission, taking the risk to open your heart to love every day, believing in the impossible, and reaching for the miraculous, then fear will do its job and start eating at you. We need fear there, yet we don't have to live in it. If our world was completely without the concept of fear, what would we be like? There'd be no courage or vigilance of awareness. We wouldn't be very accurate at focusing our precious attention and intention into what makes our heart truly sing. See, these are all pieces that make up the great grand puzzle. And we use them, we interact with them, we learn from them. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Now, I know people who are real lovers of fear. Seriously, they're just so caught up in everything. They're always having fear. That's why it's highly suggested that you explore a feeling of deep acceptance with your personal relationship with your fear. How do you typically respond when fear shows up at scary head? There's a lot of it flying around here on this planet at this time, during this transition. A lot of it. Do you run and hide? Then retaliate with anxiety. When fear comes into your body, what happens? Be conscious about it so that you learn how to use fear instead of being used by it. Believe it or not, when you stop feeding fear, fear can feed you. It's just energy. And when you find out how to welcome it in with curiosity, it sharpens your focus, clarifies your intentions, and makes your whole body mind super passionate about what you want to get out of this life. Now, it does take, okay, some people, it will shake them to their roots. So this is what it's meant to do so that the real metamorphosis can begin. Stop resisting fear and start welcoming it in. Learn how to ride the tiger instead of being eaten by it. You'll actually enjoy everything about life again. The easy way is to run away from ourselves. And the ironic thing is that whatever parts we are running away from always end up becoming what we run towards at some point in this lifetime or the next. Learn how to embrace your fear, love your fear, and you will form a deeper spiritual respect for life. You will appreciate all variations of this life, and not just be seeking to have easy, good days. Find what it is you truly fear. Love, intimacy, success, failure. Whatever it is, invite it in. See how all your ancient phobias instantly flip around and become waves of enthralling fascination. And have fun. You can look forward to each meeting you have with fear. And when you do, you've truly mastered the game. The moment you start seeing life as non-serious, and there's a lot of people that could take this advice, bring it in, a playfulness happens. All the burden on your heart disappears. All the fear of death, of life, of love, everything disappears. One starts living with a very light weight, almost no weight. One can fly in the open sky, ocean. You feel the vibrational frequency in your heart mind. You feel it as I share these words. You feel the energy. In deep gratitude and being gentle, kind, and generous with oneself at all times. This is where we're all going. Doesn't mean all at once. Some of us are, some of us not yet, some of us later. But this is the true liberation of you. Join you in a meditation and return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. There are no accidents, excuse me, or coincidence in this world. Nothing is by chance. It is all a reflection, indication, expression, and manifestation of your body-mind's vibration. Your vibration is determined by the thoughts and feelings you choose to experience, which are also being sent out into the universe. Your body-mind is like a massive, huge radio tower that emits a personal signature energy, which is constantly being received by the universe. Positive feelings, thoughts create easy healing and satisfying experiences, while negative thoughts, feelings attract situations that leave us with a dark, lonely, and impoverished experience. For today, hold your attention on the most powerful vibration there is, love. Start by tuning your radio tower so it's working at 100% by practicing self-love. Love yourself no matter what happens today. This commitment releases all negative possible accidents from entering your vibrational field. You'll win every battle with pain, poverty, and failure. Imagine what it will be like to be self-loving and self-accepting for the next 24 hours. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. And we'll return here tonight around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call. And Saturday, May 27, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with oneself at all times. Be in the highest of the deepest eternal gratitude at all times.